Ladies and gentlemen, wake up because the situation in Minnesota is reaching a boiling point. We are looking at a franchise standing on the precipice of a massive transformation. Sources are buzzing, the phones are ringing off the hook, and the decisions made in the next few weeks will define the Vikings for the next decade. We are talking about high-stakes quarterback controversies, a $78 million gamble, and a defensive overhaul that could finally unleash Brian Flores. Do not blink, because what I'm about to tell you changes absolutely everything for our team.
Since February 18th, the noise has been getting louder and louder about a potential trade sending Mac Jones from the San Francisco 49ers directly to Minnesota. The rationale on paper is clear. Head coach Kevin O'Connell demands quarterback depth. He saw exactly what happened when we lost our starter in the past, and he refuses to go into battle without insurance for J.J. McCarthy. But let me tell you right now, this is not just about holding a clipboard on the sidelines. When you bring in a former first-round pick like Jones, you are telling McCarthy he has absolutely zero room for error. This is a cold, calculated business decision to fortify the most critical position on the field. The insiders are saying this is about raising the floor, ensuring that if McCarthy stumbles, the season does not collapse into ruin. But here is where I have a major problem. We are talking about Mac Jones, the guy who looked completely lost in New England. We are going to entrust the safety net of this franchise to a man who was benched multiple times. I understand the need for competition. I understand that iron sharpens iron. But you have to ask yourself if this is the kind of pressure you want to put on your young franchise quarterback right now. O'Connell thinks he can fix anyone, and maybe he can, but bringing in a polarized figure like Jones creates a media circus the second McCarthy throws a single interception. It is a gamble on culture as much as it is on talent. We are trying to build a contender, not a quarterback rehabilitation center. This front office needs to decide if they want a reliable backup or a quarterback controversy, because with Jones, you might get both. However, if you think the quarterback drama ends with a simple backup trade, you are sorely mistaken, because there is a much bigger, much more expensive shadow looming over the roster that no one is talking about yet.
Listen, the offseason is a war zone, and information is your ammunition. If you want to stay ahead of the curve with exclusive Vikings intel that you will not hear anywhere else, you need to hit that subscribe button right now.
While we sit here and argue about Mac Jones, the betting markets just dropped a bombshell that makes that trade look like child's play. New analytics and odds makers have suddenly installed the Minnesota Vikings as the heavy favorites to execute a blockbuster trade for a quarterback carrying a massive $78 million contract. You heard me correctly, $78 million. The front office has made it crystal clear that stability at the quarterback position is the #1 priority, and they are apparently willing to pay a king's ransom to get it. This is not just a rumor. This is a market shift based on insider chatter. We are looking at a scenario where the Vikings acquire a proven, high-priced veteran to stabilize the ship. Now you have to look at the math and the roster construction. If you make this move, you are effectively shouting from the rooftops that you do not trust J.J. McCarthy to start Week 1. You do not bring in a $78 million asset to sit on the bench. This screams that the Vikings are in win-now mode, and they are terrified of growing pains. It is a bold, aggressive, and frankly terrifying strategy. I respect the ambition. I respect the desire to win. But are we really ready to mortgage the salary cap for a veteran when we just spent a first-round pick on the future? This is the kind of move that gets general managers fired if it goes wrong. It changes the entire timeline of the franchise. It tells the locker room that the future is on hold because we want a ring today. But here is the reality check we all need to face. You can spend all the money in the world on a quarterback. You can trade for every big name under the sun. But none of it matters if the defense can't stop a nosebleed. And that brings me to the draft room, where the strategy is shifting dramatically to fix a glaring weakness that has plagued us for years. The latest mock drafts dropping today, February 20th, have completely flipped the script on what we expect with the 18th overall pick. The consensus is narrowing, and it is music to Brian Flores' ears. The Vikings are zeroing in on the defensive secondary, specifically targeting elite playmakers like safety Caleb Downs and cornerback Mansour Delane. These are being called the dream targets for a reason. We know Flores runs a complex, aggressive scheme that requires high IQ players who can cover ground and hit like trucks. Caleb Downs is exactly that kind of weapon. He is a chess piece that you can move all over the field. Mansour Delane brings the lockdown capability we have been desperate for on the outside. This is not just about drafting a position of need. This is about identity. For too long, our secondary has been a revolving door of blown coverages and missed tackles. Drafting one of these young studs signals that we are done getting torched by elite passing attacks. It is the right move. It is the smart move. But let me be clear with you. It is also the safe move. And safe does not always win Super Bowls. I love the idea of a shutdown defense. I love giving Flores the tools he needs to cook. But when I look at this roster, I see holes everywhere. If you spend that precious first-round capital on a safety, you better be absolutely certain he is an all-pro caliber player. We cannot afford another bust in the first round. The margin for error is razor thin. We need immediate impact. We need a game changer who steps on the field day one and strikes fear into opposing quarterbacks. However, building a fortress on defense is useless if the offense remains one-dimensional. While the scouts are obsessed with the secondary, Kevin O'Connell is quietly plotting a revolution on the other side of the ball that could completely redefine how this team attacks in 2026.
Breaking news coming out of the facility today indicates a massive philosophical shift for Kevin O'Connell's offense. The head coach is officially prioritizing explosive plays and a revamped ground game as the cornerstones of his vision. After a year where the offense often felt stagnant and predictable, O'Connell is demanding more efficiency and more dynamite. The reports specifically link the Vikings to veteran running backs in free agency, looking for proven ball carriers who can take the pressure off J.J. McCarthy. This is absolutely critical. You cannot ask a young quarterback to carry the entire franchise on his back without a reliable running game. O'Connell knows this. He knows that to unlock the deep ball, you have to force defenses to respect the run. Heard of true with one